Whenever I had discussions with people about what it means to be successful, I would often get a multitude of fascinating answers. Yes, because success means different things to different people. But regardless of how different their responses may appear, I noticed that it almost always revolves around the following three subjects. First, most people want to be rich. Surprise, surprise. They want to be financially independent and financially free. Second, they want to be healthy. And third, they want to have a good relationship with the people close to them. Now, on the subject of money, I think it's fair to say that we all have a reasonably clear idea of what we have to do in order to become financially independent or financially free. For some of us, that might be climbing the corporate ladder. For others, it might be starting a business. What I mean to say is, it's quite obvious what we have to do in order to attain material riches. Now, on the subject of health, again, pretty straightforward. If you want to live a long and healthy life, you have to eat healthy food, avoid drinking too much, and exercise regularly. Then you're good, you're set, you're golden. But when it comes to relationships, that's when things get a bit tricky. That's when things get a bit complex. You see, us humans, much like our physical appearance, come with a multitude of highly complex personalities that are often influenced by our genetic predispositions and our upbringing. So what works for one person may not necessarily work for another. Now, in all fairness, there are plenty of remarkable books written on the subject of human relationships and an even greater number of movies made. But I feel like beyond all the movies and the books, I feel like there's one place in particular that can serve as an ideal training ground for building ideal and meaningful relationships. This is a place where men go to feel welcomed, understood, and cared for. This is the only place where men get treated like kings. This place, ladies and gentlemen, is the barbershop. Now, I absolutely love going to the barbershop. I know when I say this, most of you guys are probably thinking, well, what's so special about going to the barbershop? Well, I'm glad you asked. From the age of 13 up until I graduated college and started working, I always went to the same barber. I know guys would agree with me when I say that finding a good barber is just like finding a good wife, in that it's extremely difficult to do, but once you find that special someone, it's definitely worth it. You know how the saying goes, a good barber is like a therapist with clippers. All you have to do is just sit on that swivel chair and let him do his magic, because you trusted that he's going to do everything he can to make you look your best. Now, getting a state-of-the-art haircut is not even the main reason why I look forward to going to the barbershop. I can say in all honesty, the barbershop is the only place where I feel like I can go and vent about anything I want. It's the only place where I respond to the question, how are you, Henok, in a sincere manner. Yes, because your parents may ask how you're doing, but you don't want to tell them because you fear they might worry. Your friends may ask how you've been every once in a while, but sometimes you don't want to tell them because you fear they might be too judgy. But to your barber, you can tell them anything. So not only are you being groomed, but you're also being heard. If you were to walk into any random barbershop, you're almost always guaranteed to find faces filled with joy and laughter. 9 times out of 10, you'd find guys passionately arguing about football or exchanging jobs about politics. And of course, you'd also find one elderly gentleman who couldn't care less about any of those things, sitting half asleep on the swivel chair. If you were to stay a minute or two longer, you would quickly discover that men actually gossip more than women. But these conversations are so raw, so genuine, so refreshing, so much so that you may actually find guys who are not even looking to get a haircut, sitting there just to be part of the conversation. It's a place where waiting doesn't feel like a waste of time. Now, given how hard it is to land a good barber, you can imagine that cheating on your barber is absolutely and unequivocally forbidden. Your barber may be out of town, sick, or just closed for the day, but you are under no circumstances allowed to entertain the idea of visiting another barber. It doesn't matter whether you have to walk around looking like a caveman or looking like you just survived an attack by a wild animal. Cheating on your barber is definitely, absolutely not the type of risk you want to take, because he will eventually find out. I say this with no exaggeration that most men are more terrified of cheating on their barbers than they are cheating on their wives. Yes, because the bromance between a man and his barber is that special. By now, I hope you guys understand that the barbershop is more than just a place for me where I go to get a quick trim. It's a place where I learned to trust a stranger with blades at a very young age. It's a place where I learned how to let down my guard and share intimate details about my personal life without fearing judgment. And most importantly, it's a place where I learned the value of loyalty. And I do believe that's what it ultimately comes down to. In order to build meaningful and lasting relationships, we have to learn to trust people. We have to learn to communicate our ideas, thoughts, and feelings freely without fearing reprehension. And no matter how tempting it may be to do otherwise, we have to train ourselves to remain loyal. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever lost on the subject of relationships and you're looking to be enlightened, You don't need to buy no fancy book by the likes of Jordan Peterson or listen to a podcast by some random self-made relationship guru. What you need to do is ask a barber.